Hello, welcome to this video. Thank you for tuning in and sharing this now moment with myself and with one another. If you haven't seen these videos before, welcome back if you have. My intention is unity and oneness and the highest levels of love light. I've got a butterfly flying out my window right now and it's just beautiful. It's a huge monarch butterfly and it might be the size of my hand. One of the biggest ones I've seen. And I love that. It's so symbolic, the butterfly, right? Transformation, being able to go only see what's right in front of you to being able to see from above. The process of transformation, feeling completely dropping the old body. I feel like that's so symbolic of what we're all experiencing right now. This rebirth, if you will. And it's just amazing to me what we're going through. And yeah, so I just wanted to kind of say, our environment speaks with us. And so one of my fellow light workers and now friend, I suppose, I just met this beautiful soul, but I feel like I've known them for a very long time, was saying this morning on a chat how they had this message come through, and just a reminder on how the inorganic, our computers and our phones and everything around us is all within this fabric that we exist within. And we can utilize it all in order to connect more fully to a deeper expression, meaning we can integrate into these different fabrics and weave our consciousness, in essence, to then interpret and communicate, or vice versa, how all of that fits into our reality, if that makes sense. And that's just something to be aware of, because I think there is still a vast majority of people who ask, I talked about this in my previous video, they ask for help, but then they don't open to receive it, or it's speaking, but they can't hear it because they haven't opened their inner ears. Instead, they're listening to the noise outside, which can also help us and show us what's going on inside, right? Oftentimes it's a reflection, inner to outer. So when we begin to utilize that in our daily interactions, our synchronicities from one perspective, then enhances our life, our reality, and how we connect through this fluid-like fabric that connects all of existence. So I'm going to go into a little flow. It is kind of this Lion's Gate, right, portal. And I know it means different things to different people. I'm not going to get into, there's two of them. I'm not going to get into what the what it means for me, but I will share just energetically what I'm feeling leading up to this. We're in this portal. We're in this space, right? What's coming up for me is to really just get centered in myself. Not to get pulled into the dialogue that many others are getting pulled into. And what does that mean? That doesn't mean I'm not going to participate in what I feel is relevant for the expansion of my reality. However, it's also asking me, or I'm asking me, where do I stand? Where am I at emotionally, physically, right now? And have I really concentrated on that before I put my concentration and focus into these other groups, into these other dialogues, I guess, right? Because there's different energies that those dialogues can carry with them. And it's really important when we are going through life in general but especially when we've got this enhanced energy. I feel like anytime there's a portal, right? It's like this, I talked about this before. To me, it looks like a funnel. And all of this stuff from the previous year or from the previous lifetime or whatever it might be, lifetimes, timelines. I have so much coming in right now, as I'm sure many of you guys do as well. And it can feel like a lot, right? All being funneled through one little tiny portal, if we want to look at it that way. And so it's really even more important to not get sucked into that without being able to find our embodiment, grounding, a heart-centered awareness, our 0 point, our center of our center stem. I'm hearing stem. So obviously our roots, so that we can stabilize when these frequencies come to assist us, right? They line up. I'm just playing with this to help push, pull, whatever we want to call it, electromagnetic energy. We've got help from the sun, and it's just that push that helps us to funnel and channel all of it through a centralized focal point, is basically what I'm hearing. And a lot of this is a play on words, but if we're scattered, I talked about this in my previous video with Ears to Hear. I did 2 of those videos. It's hard for us to then find our own truth, our own inner truth. And when I say that in this moment, I'm not talking about our past lives or the truth of our history or the truth of what's happening on the social, economic, political scale, because that's only one version of reality that's within a bubble, that's within a bubble, that's within a bubble. And the ultimate truth is our own heart-centered awareness. And then from that, we find the other truths for the realities that we are creating or that we are choosing to create. And then we have an ability to then create from a more centered and focalized space of coherence. And so many of us are getting the opportunity right now to tune into so much that it can be overwhelming. So, for me this morning, I really kind of was pulled into wanting to look a few things up and, wanting to hear what others had to hear about Lionsgate. And then I was guided to watch one video, and I'll share that with you. Jessica Del Mar. If you haven't watched her before, I really enjoy her videos. I haven't watched them very much recently, but this one was very synchronistic for me. It's the 369 one that she talks about. And whether or not, again, I'm coming back to truth, you listen to someone and you fully resonate and go, oh yeah, that's the truth. That's not what I'm referring to. It's more of this center balance that allows us to then filter through all of the stuff that's out there. Because what my reality is not the same reality for somebody else, truly. If you want to think of it that way. It really isn't. It is, my own experiences have nothing to do with somebody else's experiences. From one aspect, when we're talking about how I get up in the morning and what I have for breakfast and the conversation I have with my husband and where we decide to go for the day and where I choose to go to a place of employment and so on and so forth, has nothing to do with someone else's truth about their reality. However, all is connected. And so there is a ripple effect that goes out into the ether, into whatever we want to call the fabric that we're all connected through. And this is where that collective energy comes into play. But if I don't know where I sit within that collective energy, then it's easy to get swept up into everybody else's realities that they are focusing on. Because it is our focused intent, from my perspective, that brings us into the next creation point. So this is the stuff that I'm just kind of in flow about this. I wanted to share. So what does that look like for me? Well, so this morning I did listen to that video while I worked out, which I'm not. I tell everybody move, flow, breathe. Guys, this is a challenge for me too. And I'm a yoga teacher. I'm just not naturally, let me rephrase that, cancel, cure, delete that. I haven't been in the past a natural person just go exercise. You know, my sister's the opposite. She has to exercise. She's like, okay, I gotta go exercise. And her idea of fun is going and spin class. God bless her. That's my idea of not a good day. Oh, you're mad at me? Let's go. Then take me to spin class and we'll be even. I'm laughing because everybody's got their own truth for them about what makes them feel better physically. For me, it's yoga or Pilates, and even that takes me sometimes a push. And the energies have been pushing me to become more physically active. And so if you have this sense of anxiety around your body right now, not even your body, in your mind, if you're feeling pulled in all these directions, you've got this sense of doom, or I feel like I should be doing something, right? But it's not, I don't know what to do. Go exercise. And it doesn't necessarily mean go and get obsessive about it. It just means go move for 15 minutes, check in with yourself first. How do I feel? Where are my thoughts? Because it is about our intention and our focus. And then once we go from, I think this is going to be a 2-part video. I can already feel. So we go from our intention and our focus, and we check in with ourselves and ask ourselves, okay, I feel anxious. I feel like how is my breath? Am I breathing? Is it short? Is it count? 5 counts in, 5 counts out. I'm not even getting to 5. Ooh, I'm holding on. All right, let's see if we can increase that a little bit. And then you just put your timer on for 15 minutes. You can do a video online, a bar class video or something, or what is it called? A HIIT, H-I-T. You know, there's all kinds of online stuff if you feel like I can't go to the gym, or I don't have the equipment, or I don't really want to go outside. There's always an option. All kinds of yoga classes online. Or go outside and stretch. It doesn't take much, but what I notice for me is I have to first check in with myself and go, how am I feeling right now? I feel a little anxious. Okay, where's that coming from? And I may not get the answer, but I know that if I move, it helps to move through that stagnant energy. It helps me to raise my serotonin, which helps me to then find a little more balance and let the hormones and the chemicals in my body readjust. Another friend of mine, Tracy, had just said, sometimes you have to turn off your phone and reset it. I loved that because it has to catch up with us, right? It's still hasn't done the updates yet. And I thought that was so cool. That was so symbolic of our system, right? Sometimes we just have to reset, and that 15 minutes of movement or breath work sometimes can be more powerful than meditation. Because if our bodies are just doing this, but we're trying to just meditate, that's where a lot of people fall off the wagon, because it's almost impossible. And your body's trying to tell you something. Your body's saying, I am physical, I need movement. And then you merge the two together, and sometimes you don't listen to anything while you work out. Just listen to music or nothing. Connect with your body and your breath, and you might notice that thoughts come up that you hadn't realized were there. Poof, they go away. They aren't bothering us so much anymore. Or thoughts come up that we weren't even aware of that were bothering us, and we need to address them. And sometimes we need to address them by specifically saying, I am aware. And that's what I think the message for this video really is acknowledging where we're at. I am aware that I feel this way. I am going to take action, whether that be through breath work, meditation, movement, walking, stretching, right? I mean, just stretching isn't, yoga nidra. You don't have to go out and run a marathon. Some people do have so much stagnant energy, though, that they have to literally do those types of exercises in order to really make some big shifts in their life, which is awesome. That's their own truth. That's true for what they need. But on the flip side, some people overdo it and they're not balancing it with the spiritual, and I don't even really know if that's the proper word, but it doesn't matter to me because I play with words all the time. It's balancing out the physical, emotional, mental, esoteric, whatever you want to label it as, our own reality that helps us to connect with source or our higher self or our guides. And if we're not doing that, which is just us, right, our higher versions of us, then that can, sometimes people overcompensate by getting obsessed with that physical, right, the physical density. So it is finding that balance, but acknowledging where we're at. Because if we're just exercising all the time, we're not necessarily tuning in to what our bodies really need, or what our mind really needs, or what our heart really needs. So it is finding that balance, and more of us, again, ears to hear. Are we listening? Because if we're doing these marathons, but our knee is telling us you need to take a break, then that means, and we're not listening, then that means we're ignoring our intelligence, our higher intel, I'm hearing in the cells, right? That's coming up from within us to tell us something is off. And this ties back in with tuning into this is part of our new, not so new, but for many of us, part of a new reality for us is really recognizing and then moving with that focused intent. I am choosing not to run today because my knee needs to recover. Not forcing us to do that because it's a habit or because we feel like without it, we're going to go crazy. That's a belief. That's a belief we've told ourselves. Running isn't the only answer. There are other things. Swim, go for a walk, go for a bike ride. I'm just sharing that we are being invited to make these different little adjustments, maybe to old patterns, and to acknowledge if the old way of doing things is still working for us and if it's still true for who we are now. So that's one of the biggest messages that was coming through this morning. Okay, I'm gonna go into a little bit more flow and we'll see how many videos this takes. And just as we had to make adjustments, I'm hearing we like me and my higher self, our guidance team, in order to hear each other, I needed to tune in to hear the language and the linguistics that was coming through, the voice behind the voice, the sound behind the screen, if you will, the background that was playing within my heart, that was wishing to be pulled up from my memory, my cellular recognition, to tune into the cells that hold the memory and the frequency in a form, a charge, electromagnetic energy, if you will, a dialogue, a dielectric participation, a chemical movement and chain reaction through the body that then assists us in opening and remembering our higher aspects. For our higher aspects are nowhere else but with us here now. I'm hearing Noel else, like Christmas time. The gifts are here, unwrapping, the pineal, down the chimney. I'm hearing the symbol, like the metaphors of all of the tree, the expression, the roots, the branches. Makoea o steen makoe neo ha anna ki mau hat it ikuna. Bukur anna tishtara hak ur. Tek hak ur mak ur het endak histak iro unuk ur. Tier ar ok ur mak ur hen ak het tera haur on. Tinara ariel kur mak or edit ik ooit ik ak anak ak oa. Peo stau ak unek ohene ak oene buku mahanea uaste. Moea ak oenet ishte nek oene bukuene. And then we had to listen to fully understand that there were multiple linguistics that were coming in at different times, at different bandwidths, if you will, in different chemical regulations within the memory structure of the body. And this is representative of much that is happening on your planet now. For as you play with these frequencies and energies, you recognize that you are igniting within you a deeper resiliency for recognition. This is all a play on words: recognition, reconnaissance, reconnaissance, back to innocence, recognizing the inner child playfulness, inner wisdom of reconnaissance. Lots of plays on words here. Piaste kumo eti kinioa ekimeneo kienihi. Kumo eate uste kue eniwa kumo eanati kiste wana. Diemo kuneti kuniwa oste bakuneneti kuehania kua. Finding this ability or remembering this ability begins with recognizing this ability. Recognizing that as you connect in with your inner mobility, your inner accessibility, your inner ability to access the mobile networks in which you are connecting into, for you are all frequency barriers, if you will. That's a play on words, but it's also truth. Like I'm hearing barometers, and I'm hearing bringers of frequency, but we also create barriers against these frequencies because of habit patterns. And I'm hearing bearers of frequency. You each choose how you play with these frequencies. I choose to play with these frequencies in a communicative, playful pattern that allows me to tap into my own resources, my own past, present, future systems that I believe in, that I have created a system through. Belief is a play on words, by the way. I'm hearing turning a new leaf. I'm seeing a connection to the trees and the roots. I'm hearing be the leaf, like flowing and kind of, but recognize where it came from. So much. I choose to play with these frequencies in such a way that it creates a delightful pattern within my own spectrometry, play on words, set of coding. This allows me to tap into languages and linguistics from many different patterns that have been encoded within my DNA, chemical subset, skin suit, if you will, and fabric of space-time reality, yet also beyond space-time reality. For within this complexity is a simplicity that can be accessed through the simplicity of the heart currency, if you will. And as we play with these simplicity, geometric equivalents of reality spectrums that allow us to recognize a higher spectrum, I'm hearing that spectrometer again, which always is like a combination, it's a portmanteau of multiple words. So it's like color spectrum. What is the musical? It keeps rhythm, which I don't claim to do, but it's my own rhythm, right? It's keeping me, it's like a metric measure, metadrone. Yet being playful about these energies allows us to access them from a deeper currency. For then the barriers that we perceive are there are melted away. For then we meld into the fabric that we are all connected through. This allows us to play through many different records, if you will. It allows us to tap into and to connect with the deeper record bank, if you will. Breaking the bank, creating a deeper value system in an intrinsic soundboard. Kushte ku enet ena. Akumo et estek iniwa at enek istur ak ene. This allows us to change channels more frequently. It allows us to access all of the channels, all of the dials, all of the radio signals, expanding the radius, if you will, the circumference, the circumferentry. We allow ourselves to then connect through all that we have been, seen, played with, and I'm being guided to kind of play with that for a little bit. It allows us to tune in, though, through our essence, our true tuner. Our truth tuner then becomes more, I'm hearing clairescent, like clear and essential, because we're tuning in through this strength of our own pillar, not getting pulled into everybody else's tuning banks, is what I'm hearing. Tuning banks. Ooh, play on words. For what others value, if you will, banks value, monotony, money, monetary, is not necessarily what is the truth about the value system. It is not necessarily true to your own intrinsic, intrinsonic, ooh, so many plays on words here. Intrinsonic, boom, all of you are all then accessing, oh wow. I just went into like, whew. It's one of those days. So it's a mapping system that just allows you to tune in to everything that you have access to. And for some of us, we access parts of consciousness easier, maybe because we exist within those parts right now. And technically we exist within we're all connected, right? But we didn't necessarily come here to express everything. We're doing it in our own individual, unique expression. So I'm just tapping into and tuning into what feels right for me. Somebody else will do what's right for them. But that doesn't mean that my value is subset in that other person's value or their idea of my worth. Oh, this is so many different things. So what I'm being shown is that others are getting lost in other people's banks, like saying, okay, this is what you're worth. And if you don't tune into my channel, your system doesn't really match up with my system. Therefore, I don't value you. And that's just one little tiny subset of everything that I'm kind of talking about here. And so people get trapped into this idea of giving their value away to something else, to another person's story, to another person's reality, because they haven't really tapped into their own central channel, which is the essence of who they are in this now moment, in this reality. But the ability to then tune into the other versions of us that is in true alignment with source energy, do no harm, right? Non-competition. I love Andrew Bartz's revocations on this. But it's so true. Like, this is my true central channel. And I'm recognizing that all these other divisions, subsets, are part of somebody else's creation. And I might play in those from time to time, but that isn't my true access point and true channel. Therefore, that's just one channel that I can tune into, that I can set my radius to expand out into, to hear or listen to or to play in. But then I'm being invited to bring it back into my own resource, because my own resource, and I'm hearing channel well, the well spring of the heart, the chalice, right? The cup that runneth over, is not necessarily the same intrinsic value set of someone else's. That doesn't make them less valuable than me. and vice versa. It just means that's their reality, even though we're sharing bubbles. I don't know, I hope this makes sense. And it's okay if it doesn't. It just is a playfulness, and it's only one perspective of many of how our realities kind of work and how this new communication works on like a subatomic boom, sonic, it's sound. And again, it comes back to with ears to hear. And I'm running out of room here, so I'm gonna do part 2, and I'm just gonna go into some more flow and light language from there. So if you feel guided to check that out, thank you so much for tuning in and sharing in this now moment. And happy 8/8 weekend. 8's my favorite number. And so, thinking of this infinity is so key right now, and how the infinite potential, the charge that we all carry. And I'll kind of go into that next. So in love and light, namaste.